today, which will look at new roles in banking technology. Sharing their views with us will be Alex Yu, Talent Acquisition Lead of Tech and Ops for DBS Bank, Tensi Tan, Executive Director, Global Head of Intelligent Automation for Asset and Wealth Management and Change Mobilization from JPM, Teo Li Wei, Technology Channels Engagement and Experience from Standard Chartered Bank, Lawrence Goh, Managing Director and Group COO for Group Technology and Operations from UOB. And moderating the panel for us is Ms. Yul Laiman, Head of Career Advisory and HR from IBF. Over to you, Laiman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. So I've got Alex, Tansy, Lawrence, Li Wei. Would you want to join us via the video? So let's give a minute more for Li Wei. Hi, Li Wei. Okay, we've got the full panel here. Well, once again, a very warm afternoon to each and everyone, the panel and the participants. I'm very mindful that we have a precious 1 hour and only 1 hour to speak. And, we certainly would like to hear from the panel members. They've come with, a lot of experience and sharing their perspective. Also, we like to hear some of the questions from the floor, so that where we can, we would like to take them on. Where we can't, we would like to, suggest that you could check in with the various zones that we still have for the rest of today till 6 o'clock, or tomorrow via the same VCF link. Otherwise, to write into IBF. So just wanted all of you to know and not to go away disappointed if your questions cannot be answered by the panel today. Because of the short time, I thought I would do a quick round of introduction of the panel members. Apologetically, it might not do justice for their very well-deserved, illustrious careers, but clearly in the interest of time, I'll do a quick round. Also, I would, appeal to the panel members, do share your experiences, because it is the experiences, your experiences, current and the past, and also how you look forward into the future, that will help many of the participants who have dialed in to listen to each one of you. I'm sure they are out there, whether it be looking for jobs or other opportunities, could be attachments, traineeship, and so on and so forth. So there are the many permutations, so your encouragement is very important for them. Okay, just in alphabetical order, I'll start with Alex. Alex is the Senior Vice President and Team Head of Talent Acquisition in DBS Bank. His work is aligned to Technology and Operations Group. He's an experienced talent advisor, and with more than 25 or so years of experience. Started his career in engineering, research and development, .com as well, .com startups and real estate investment, before he moved into executive search and talent area. Alex has also worked in various countries outside of Singapore, that includes the UK, Middle East and Australia. I move on. Lawrence Goh is our next panelist. He's the MD of Group Technology and Operations in UOB. Lawrence holds 2 portfolios. One is a COO, and he's responsible for global technology operations strategies, and that includes managing IT investments for the UOB group. He's also head of Group Infrastructure Platform Services, and oversees the delivery of operations of all IT infrastructure and platforms across the group. Next, we have Teo Li Wei. Li Wei is Head of Technology, Channels, Engagement and Experience of Standard Chartered Bank. Li Wei has more than 19 years of experience working across the APAC banking industry. She has extensive technical and information security knowledge, strategic planning that drives positive business outcomes. Li Wei aspires to continual learning always. She promotes relationships internally and across, and do a lot of mentoring and getting people to move progressively through their careers. And obviously, last but not least, we have Tansy Tan. Tansy and I happen to be alumni of Deutsche. So Tansy is currently the Executive Director in JP Morgan Asset and Wealth Management. She looks after change mobilization of this business area. Tansy heads up Intelligent Automation Center of Excellence for AWM globally as well. So oftentimes as the Center of Excellence, whenever there are visitors coming through, you can see her, being the key person and really encouraging the aspiration of centers of excellence here in Singapore. Tansy also drives operations transformation as part of internal private bank data and digital strategy. Prior to this, she was with corporate investment banking, and she has led large-scale transformation programs. She also held a variety of roles, including product manager of JPMM platform, client relationship for ops. Tansy is a very strong advocate for the people agenda. So without much further ado, I'd like to actually request each panel member to share with us about the new opportunities and the skill sets that are in demand currently, especially in the area of banking, technology, and ops, and in your remit. And if you have observations in a broader, area within banking, do share with us. So maybe we start off with Alex.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I guess I'm between your and potential dinner plans and all, but I hope this session will be useful. I mean, if you look at today's world, right, the high demand skills would definitely be in the area of data. Because we live in a data-driven world today, whether it is it in market research or in decision making or even in predictive analysis, right? And then if we talk about data analytics, there are also three main areas where you got your descriptive, prescriptive, and predictive as well. I mean, basically in layman's term is what happened, right? What do we know? What might happen? And what can we do, or what should we be doing about it? So all this is definitely based on what data we can gather. And therefore, if you look at the relevant skills, like at DBS, we are looking for data engineers, data analysts. Like my colleague earlier also mentioned about all the other data scientists that we're hiring. Right, but not to forget the traditional full stack engineers, software developers, because it's very important when we are on a digital transformation journey. We need to know where we were. Why did the bank invest in that core banking system? So the why would then enable us to then transform accordingly, because the purpose of the systems that we invested in are not going to change overnight. We still need to be able to keep customer records. We still need to be able to deliver transaction services to our customers. So the why we bought or we invested in certain technology in the past is important. So if today you find yourself as a mid-career person saying that, I was born on the days of COBOL, Pascal, and Fortran 77, what relevance am I today, right? I think it's still very relevant, because the algorithms behind your thinking, the way you think is still very important. I always like to say that sometimes the most innovative solution is actually the simplest. So we're looking for people who can invent and simplify, right? Because if technology makes things so complicated that you can't even step foot into what you want to do, it's not good technology in my view. So I think that's where we are. We're looking for creative people, innovative people. If you have the skill set to learn and be curious, then definitely that would help. So I mean, in DBS, we have a myriad of roles that we're covering. If you go to our career site or even our virtual career booth, you will see that there's a lot of things. And I think we will cover that later after this. So maybe on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Alex. I think that resonates with me as an individual who's not that young, fresh out of school. That we need not be afraid of some of the changes in the technology area, some of the programs and so on, and even software engineers and so on is something that is transitioning, but we still require in addition to the data analytics world. So moving on, Lawrence, would you like to share with us from your perspectives what might be some of the new opportunities or skills you see currently happening in the financial services industry?
Sure. Thank you, Laiman, and good afternoon to everybody. So it's my pleasure to be with you on this fire chat. So I think it's a very relevant topic to be discussing, probably at the close of this 2-day session. And I must say that what Alex has shared really is somewhat the core of what we are looking for. Now, if you look at the banking industry, and every bank is undergoing digital transformation. We are creating new experiences for our customers in terms of how they access their funds, how they can do their transactions, how they can avail a loan. We are creating all those digital experiences for them that if they don't feel comfortable, they can also come to the branch. And then when they come to the branch, the experience should be transparent. It should be what we call the omni-channel experience, where it doesn't matter whether you prefer the digital channel or prefer the physical channel, it should be there the same way. All right. So for you guys who are thinking about joining the banking industry, I think it's a fabulous time to be doing it, right? And I think it's about where maybe banking is going to become sexy again. Okay. I mean, at one point in time, people were, joining all the startups and thinking that maybe that's the place to go. But I think now with these disruptions, some of the new digital banking licenses that are coming up, where you see that a lot of startups wants to become banks, they want to become financial institutions, they want to be providing money to help people. We are in the right industry, okay? So if you understand data, if you know how data can help our customers, if you understand customer experiences, how you can design a good journey for our customers, if you understand technology and how technology can enable a bank to actually provide the correct experiences and financial services, then I think you are in the right place. And I really encourage you to then explore this industry.
Thank you, Lawrence. I mean, certainly this, transition of going almost a full cycle from where we were to using technology and digitalization in the banking world has brought us to a new front. And on that note, actually, I'd like to turn to Li Wei to share with us her experience and what might be new opportunities and skills in her area, in the channels area, which in Standard Chartered Bank she is focusing on.
Thank you, Laiman.
Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Laiman. Good afternoon to everybody. In fact, I think Alex, Lawrence all bring to a very common point. There was this joke that was circulating. In fact, it's circulating around the internet. I'm not sure some of you would have seen it. He said, who lead your company this digital transformation? Is it your CEO, your CTO, or COVID-19? So I think in this time, in this kind of climates, right, when the pandemic hit us, the things changes. Honestly, the digitalization transformations that Lawrence mentioned has actually escalated. And suddenly you see that everybody is working from home, and even payments, if you talk about payments, I go to hawker center, the uncle will say, hey, can you please scan this and do your payment, don't give me cash. So there's a whole lot of changes that goes on with this pandemic and the transformations that comes along with it. Yeah, Alex mentioned about data analytic. We are transforming, we have engineering kind of role that's available, or being even open up to in the market. So we ourselves, in fact, banking is not hard to understand because we ourselves are a consumer of it. Yeah, and when Lawrence talked about experiences, I'm in the experience space for channels. We talked a lot about mapping out customer journey, delighting customer in the way that they use digitals, and being, when the fintech now wanting to come back to the banking to even, applying for licenses to go digitalize, to go banking. I think there's a whole lot of new space, a whole lot of creativity that's going to come in. So I'll say really, I think it's while I'm sad to say about the pandemic, but yet it's also another opportunity kind of space that's being opened up. Being creative, being innovative. I think this is something that we are also looking for in the candidates. And it's no longer structures in the, like when you, I think what Alex mentioned, a COBOL programmer. I was a COBOL programmer before. And you just need to re-skills yourself, and it still works the same because that mindset of yours is already ingrained. So definitely, I think it's an exciting time. There's a lot of opportunities available, and really, I will say that banking is no longer the same. Yeah, we are a step up in terms of not the traditional banking anymore. Your teller is no longer a teller in a bank like what the old traditional way is. It's actually moved. It actually shifted. So there's a lot of transformation going, and I think, there's definitely a lot of exciting roles available.
Thank you, Li Wei. Thank you for encouraging us this way. On to Tansy. Tansy, you cover change mobilization in asset and wealth management, also Intelligent Automation Center of Excellence. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about the scope where it sounds very new to me as well in what you're doing. Perhaps you can share and enlighten us a bit more on this area.
Definitely. So hi everybody, this is Tansy from JP Morgan. In fact, when I was being introduced about my title, I just feel that there's probably a lot of lingo in my title that people may not be familiar with. And for those that have been around in the financial services industry, you know that getting the acronyms right, getting the lingo right is probably the first step to communicate. Just demystifying what the Center of Excellence means as well as intelligent automation. In the last couple of years, I think some of you may have heard Center of Excellence popping up. So this is a new terminology going around where capabilities are formed. And this is a group of people that specialize in a specific capability. Be it robotics, be it data analytics, be it blockchain. So this is where they lead the best practices, they roll out the best tools, and they help to roll out the capability in the organization. So that's a very quick summary of Center of Excellence. What I do on a day-to-day basis is an area called Intelligent Automation. So this area covers things like robotics process automation. In fact, I joined the panel session earlier on. I heard the panelists in the last call talking about robotics automation as one of the key themes that is coming up in recent years. So this is what I do. I drive robotics process automation within the business, and I roll out other kind of low-code automation that empowers users, business users, with tools to drive their own automation. And in fact, Laiman, I would say that if you just look at new roles as a topic, my role did not exist 6 years ago. In fact, within JP Morgan, intelligent automation was a term that came up in the last probably 6 to 7 years. So this is where the thinking behind it is that automation is not in a job of a technology partner. So in us driving transformation and us driving automation, it is the job of all the business units at JP Morgan that should be accountable. So the idea behind it is that each business unit needs to drive their own change and automation. And what my team is responsible is to equip them with tools that are friendly, tools that allow them to model their business process, tools that allow them to do a data analysis and getting insights into their business data, and from there drive their own automation. So that's what I do as a Center of Excellence, driving the rollout, the build of these tools to all the business users. And I think that's a key point that I do want to highlight to this group, that yes, there's a lot of new roles out there, but at the same time, it is also about pushing new technologies to existing people who has got the business knowledge. Because more than often, all of us knows that if you are given a right tool to do your job, you can be much more productive and you can be given best results, rather than you translating your automation requirements to a third party, and the third party may just understand 50% of it and come back with a lot of questions and gaps. So this is the thinking behind it. I would say that, just moving to the second part of the question, what are some of the qualities we look for? Definitely people with strong domain knowledge. It does not mean that if you are in financial services for a long time, you don't code, I don't know Python, I won't be able to cope with the future. That is not the thinking behind it. They come with strong domain knowledge, they come with strong functional knowledge. And what we are trying to do here is to give them and teach them a new tool so that they can apply insights into their own data. So they know the domain knowledge, they know what are the factors that influence, say, a predictive outcome. So that's the thinking behind it, training up users, getting them certified, teaching them new tools which allows them to drive automation. So an inquisitive mind, openness is what we look for. In fact, in some of the users that I've seen, surprisingly, the users with zero coding background, they probably are the best in terms of adopting such tools and skills of the future. So I do want to give a shout out that for those who doesn't code traditionally, it does not mean that you need to start coding. Having a strong domain background will allow you to pick up some of the skills of the future much faster than the rest. So hopefully that demystifies what I do.
Yes, certainly does. I'm just wondering whether the other panel members have any additional points to what Tanny has said, and likewise for some of your fellow panel members. Oh, okay, good. Well, thanks, Tansy. I do note, knowledge is very important in terms of the acquisition. It could be new knowledge, it could be transformational knowledge. But I see some questions popping up. So instead of answering one by one, I kind of start to cluster them. One is someone in the mid-careers, around 40ish, and then there's another request coming through. People in that age range, how easy is it for them to transition and pivot in terms of their attitudes and mindsets, given the first round of comments about the type of roles that we might have. So I throw open to the panel members, if you could just jump in and then share a little bit from your own perspective.
So yeah, I guess, for somebody in your 40s, you've got maybe 15 to 20 years of working experience. My main advice would be prepare to pivot. You have to be flexible to learn something new. But you should also leverage on your past experience. I'm not sure which area you're in which field, but let's say, for example, you're in logistics. You could be a subject matter expert to a fintech who wants to serve the logistics sector. Because at the end of the day, the domain knowledge itself is also really important. So while you may not have the technical skills, as Tansy mentioned earlier, but you have that domain experience, the project management skills to actually then mentor people around about your industry. There's a big drive into healthcare as well. So maybe you were in manufacturing for healthcare products or something like that. It's something that you could still take to whichever job you go to because of the focus in the different areas that we're going into. So, even real estate today, we're talking about smart buildings. We're talking about how do you, collect rent, things like that. From a traditional standpoint, how do you then digitalize it? You may not have that technical capability to do it, but you know that if you could create, how would you do that? So I think the most important thing is that can you have that open mindset, that learning mindset, to be able to then apply your past experience. So again, it goes back to, you know, the way you treat data. What did you know? What would you need to know in order to then move this forward? I think that would help.
Thank you, Alex.
Maybe
The
if-
other members, anyone like to jump in to add on?
Yeah, maybe if I just chip in a little bit. So I'm actually quite new to the financial services industry. I only joined probably 3 years, 10 months ago. I was never part of FSI. All right.
Oh,
So
that's
you can call me,
interesting.
you could call me a mid-career switch as well. So, you know, at that point in time when you join the financial services industry, and you know, like what Li Wei says, right? We are all customers of banks. We know financial services. But when you get into the bank, you learn about a lot of the controls. You learn about what are the controls that are necessary, that are very important, that cannot be violated, right? Those are the things that I think every one of us can learn. But as an individual coming in, I would say you will roughly know, you know, if you are in retail banking, you will know it. What is important is to have really the growth mindset, be willing to learn, be willing to sort of roll up your sleeve a little bit, you know, plug into the things, understand why is it necessary to do step 1, step 2, step 3, right? And it's not about coding, it's not about the design, but it's about designing with the controls, right, to be in there. And if you sort of understand that, and I guess if you are late 40s or mid 40s and you already have those experiences, then it's about how you then harness the younger team together to explain to them why is it important to follow some of the design that is around the controls. I think that is important. All right. And if you are pivoting into, I would say, a real technology delivery role, then I would say a lot of the technology delivery now is what I call on the front end. Okay. Because for all the banks, the product processor, the core systems, nobody wants to touch them anymore. Okay. Very hard to touch, no business case. But the difference in all the banks competing is all in the front end channels, the digital channels. So if again you are exposed to a number of platforms that all the banks provide, and you have sort of an idea, hey, this button that I click there, very useful. This display that they show me, very interesting, right? If you can harvest that and you can form a point of view, then I think you can come in and really contribute fairly quickly and fairly easily. That's my advice.
Thank you. I think that's quite interesting, Lawrence. You know, for someone who is newer to the banking sector, to speak about you know, how does it work to adapt. Li Wei, anything to add? And Tansy?
Sure. I think really you know, open mindset, being agile in your own way, and continuous learning. Even myself, I find myself I need to learn the banking industry or even technologies. It's constant. There's constant new things that comes up. There are things that changes. So at one stage, Facebook is the in thing, but now you have Telegram. You have it's just you need to keep up. Yeah, it's never status quo that, you know, this is where you are. Then yeah, you just say that it's not that way. You continuous learning. So even in at whichever age that you are, I have parents who are learning how to do video chat with me. You know, at this stage of even at their age, they are being, I would say the COVID probably forced them to learn it, but yet they are learning, they are willing to learn. So it's regardless of where and which age you are at, it's really constantly being open-minded and being adaptive to the environment.
Sure.
And
Sure. Thank you.
Simon, if I can sort of
Yes.
add on also.
Yes,
I think
please.
the biggest gap that I see so far when speaking with many of the managers is that there are two profiles of people that I've seen. The one profile is business users with very strong domain knowledge, but they don't know how to apply all the future technology to their area. But they know their business very well. They run it for years and years. They know, they can smell the market. They know how things would move. The second type of talent that they see are people with strong technology skills. So they have the data scientists, you have somebody who does robotics very well, So those are the second group of people. And I think the key challenge here is how do we mirror both groups of people together? And just back to that question earlier on, in fact, if you like, I would feel that almost the 40 plus population is the right group to bring both sets together. They know the industry, they know what is risk and controls, because this may not be a terminology that many of the fresh graduates may be familiar with. What is risk? What does risk do? What does controls do? So this group of people, they know how the industry works. They have got domain experience. And if they're able to step further to say, based on the emerging technologies that I see in the various dimensions, how do I apply it to my business area and transform it? I think that is the key here. It's not about the bright, shiny toys out there that gives the greatest glamour, but I think it's about which of this technology out there can I truly apply and how do I apply it to transform my business? So I feel that that's a great opportunity for this group of people if they have yet to discover that this is really a gap that they can fill.
Okay, thank you for all your insights and feedback. I have something quite interesting while we are saying, hey, you must have certain trends or attributes and so on. Reversing it, what is the hardest to find? Maybe think of 2-3 jobs in your respective areas that are hardest to fill. And I do have someone from the participant group asking, so putting it the other way, what are the hardest to fill roles, and to see whether that individual can fill. And so I have an array of people who said that they have management consulting background. They have been in banking before, different areas of banking. They are generally open to digital literacy, but how do they get there? So basically you have some openings. How will you get these people in? And maybe we can just have an open dialogue on that. Alex, you want to give it a shout?
I think it's about baby steps as well. I mean, if let's say, for example, you're a career finance professional, accountant by training, and you don't have that tech experience, but I think where you could then, pivot yourself is to move into something still finance related. So it could be automation in the area of AR, in terms of payments, AR and all that. You can look at different areas, payroll, services and stuff like that within the bank. Because you can't expect overnight for someone to say, hey, I did a course and I'm now a subject matter expert, right? But I think the important thing is that you need to really leverage on your past experience, because you've maybe people in this segment, 40, 50 years old, you've worked 20, 30 years in a certain area. Don't say that it wasn't useful. To my earlier statement, right? You should definitely use that as a case study and ask yourself, how can this be applicable to AI? Because you know exactly how things are done on even a cyclical basis. So a lot of our AI engineers will tell you, if it's repeatable, we can definitely learn it and get it done. So how do you then become that subject matter expert and that advisor? So for those consultants in the crowd, definitely very useful, because DBS in particular like people who can look strategically, because we can just hire tactical people who can program, people who can code, but how about the use cases, the strategic portion of it? Because don't build just for the sake of building, because the old mindset is, if I build it, people will come, that sort of thing, or people will use that service. I built this e-commerce engine and someone will use it, but actually that's not true, because there are thousands of e-commerce engines out there. Why would they choose yours? So you need to understand, from what Lawrence also said, as a customer, right? What am I looking for? So you need to put yourself in your own shoes, literally, and then say, what can I do to leverage this in? Now, in order to answer one of the questions also about how do I get an interview, if you've been in industry 25, 30 years, please leverage on your contacts. I'm sure you know someone who works in a bank, right? Someone who can vouch for you and say, hey, yeah, I know this guy, I worked with them before. Like Tansy and Laiman, you all used to work together. So there's that connection there. So use your relationships in the industry, because we are in a people business. It's not just about ones and zeros. It's about connecting the dots. And sometimes the dots are people. So I think that would help in getting the foot in the door. So, I mean, I hope that answers some of your questions.
Thank you for the insight, Alex. Yeah. Does anybody want to jump in and add on?
Yeah, maybe I'll chip in a little bit. So if you're preparing to come for an interview, there are lots of schemes out there today, right? Skills Future, the IBF, we have got lots of programs that are in there. And if you are looking really for a job in technology, there are a few that will not run away too quickly. You can learn about being a cloud engineer as an example, right? And there are courses out there, AWS, Google, you can get onto it and you can learn about it. Data, AI, machine learning, they are all there, right? And then full stack developers. If you want to become a full stack developer, again, pick a language. There are lots of courses out there. Learn about it, and then be prepared to talk about it when you come to an interview. All right? Because if you want to come to an interview and you have never touched any of the technology and you are new to the financial industry, I think doesn't give you an edge, right? But if you say, look, I've spent my time, I've learned about an area, and then now I'm here for the interview, I'm interested, I want to practice what I've learned. You're not going to be the expert on day one, but you are prepared to learn because you got the basics and you got the foundation. I think people will look at it very positively and they will give you a chance. Now, to answer one of the first questions that Laiman was asking, right? What is the hardest things to fill in the bank? In my view, data scientist, right? Because everybody claims I'm a data scientist. I've done, data mining, and then I've done data analytics, and then now I'm a data scientist. But actually very hard to find data scientists, okay? Because these scientists are supposed to be super PhD, they learn about all those things, they can, analyze trends that you and I haven't even seen. But, you filter through so many people and say, oh, okay, you did some data mining, okay, you did some analytics, you know how to use this tool. But by no means are you a data scientist, okay? So I think that's one of those things that are hard to do. Now, if you feel that it is one of those things that you want to aspire to, okay, then start the journey, pick up some courses, do some training, and then get a good internship, or maybe just get a PCP attachment to one of the banks. Start from there, and then maybe you can work your way up. Because I think those are the new technology emerging areas that I would say will not go away in the short term.
Yes. Thank you, Lawrence. And I think to that point, I saw someone quite young asking whether they could get into the banking sector in this area. And so I think this is also an encouragement factor for the younger people, not just for the, mid-careers, but as you enter into your early careers, those are also areas that you can aspire to get into and start developing yourself in terms of knowledge and experience. Yeah, thank you. How about you, Li Wei? Anything to add on?
I think like what Alex says, really baby steps, to pivot yourself into the roles that you're looking for. And I couldn't agree more with Lawrence about data scientists. I have a staff who actually quit his job and went to really study mathematics, going into data scientists. He's now doing his PhD. So he has that passions. Yeah. So I think it's really true. Learn about it, go and study about it. And now he is even, he's becoming a teacher himself to teach. So this is, he invests in himself in the area that he's interested in and really go into it. Yeah.
Okay, now that's wonderful. Actually, on this note, I wanted to ask each one of you whether you have one or two stories of people who have pivoted and transitioned successfully You know, it could be in this area of technology and ops. It could be some other areas. Would you share those couple of stories with us as to how they have transitioned, what did they do, and how successful they are, or what contributed to their success? Because we know stories like this really could be very inspiring for job seekers, as well as for those who eventually immediately might not get that perfect job or be successful in interviews, but can look for, you know, be it attach and train or some of the programs that are, you know, now being offered in the financial services sector. So maybe Tansy, maybe I just asked whether you would know of a couple of stories to share.
Okay, I would say that, Lyman, I have quite a bit of stories to share, but
Please.
maybe I'll speak in general for my team. And I
Yeah.
think it's close to my heart. Because
Sure.
I run the Center of Excellence for Intelligent Automation. If I look across the spectrum of people in my team, it's actually quite interesting that there is no default profile of what is a successful candidate in a Center of Excellence. So for example, some of my team members came from technology background. So they come from strong skills in terms of coding, robotics, process automation. And, you know, this is where they want to know more about the business. They want to work closely with them to drive changes. Yep. So this is on technology background. Some of my users came from an operations background. So they're frustrated doing regulatory reporting. They're frustrated with transaction processing because it's manual, lots of client queries coming through. And this is where some of the operations users decide to become tech. So I decided I want to learn some of the tools. I want to remove the processes in my area that has no joy. And this is where they have also picked up a tool in order to transform and automate their processes. So those are some of the profiles. There are also some people in my team that come from risk and control. Some people came from consulting, audit. So I would almost say that there is no standard profile of what defines a successful candidate. But close to my heart, I do see 2 or 3 individuals here. How did they successfully pivoted themselves? It's because in the day-to-day processing, they probably come from operations team. They have a lot of manual processes every day. And, you know, there's a lot of overtime. When volume increase, they are unable to cope. And how they successfully pivot themselves is, you know, we introduce them to a set of tools. We got them trained up to say that these are tools that you can learn to automate your process and you can drive the changes yourself. We help them along in the journey, work with them, get them automated in their first process. And after that, they become so proficient in the tools that they start to teach other people how to do it. So I've seen a lot of examples like that, you know, you never think it was, and it's probably their first, they've never done programming. So this is their first use case, learning a tool, getting rid of a pain that they themselves face day to day. And this is where the strong motivation to want to make sure that it happens. I felt that if I look at your question holistically, that, you know, these are the stories where it always starts with a problem. You know, there is a problem, somebody is feeling frustrated, somebody wants to solve a problem and they see an opportunity. And putting the right solution with a good support model, I think that would help the individual succeed in the journey. But almost I also feel that the individual shouldn't be shy about it. You know, don't be shy that, how do I do this? You know, don't be shy about leveraging a forum, a public forum, and shouting out, hey guys, I've got a problem. Can anyone help me? Because traditionally, many of us may not learn things in that manner. We may be a little bit shy about asking for help publicly in forums, you know, chat forums. But these are the new ways to build community of practice. These are the ways to strengthen your technology skills. So this is what I truly feel that these are some of the stories that I hear where people don't have technology background, they pick up the tools, they're seen as digital savvy now and driving transformation.
Thank you, Tansy. That's really very good to know. It's almost like, you know, all of us are hardwired in a certain way. We are inhibited. We face issues day to day, especially if you are in operations. You know, you can cry like crazy, but tomorrow you still pick up the same problem and work at it. And then now it's like, hey, try and get that problem away. I'm going to give you some tools and help you. So a lot also depends on the individual. but also the organization giving them that opportunity to work at it.
Actually,
Yeah.
you also mentioned a good point. I do want to say that a lot of success cases I've seen is also where the managers has got strong support. You know, they allow the individual some time off to learn the tool. You know, they make sure that this has been recognized, that is built as part of their KPI and performance. Because there's only so much that the passionate individual can bring and advance if there's no good support model.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I think a lot of the Gallup survey also showed that where the employee gets very engaged and motivated in doing work and in being innovative, you know, a lot counts on the manager. I mean, compensation is one thing, but it doesn't keep that person that motivated. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. How about the others? Would you share your stories that you know of?
I actually just want to mention what Tansy said about diversity. It reminds me about how we, structure our Scrum teams, because as you know, Agile and Scrum teams, we're looking for high performing teams, and what makes them successful actually is the diversity of experiences within that. So when you can bring them together and get aligned in terms of the goals and get them, to a point, familiar with the same set of tools that you're using, the team actually ends up moving very fast, and they can move things to production. So I think that's good to say, we're willing to find people with different skill sets in different areas, but it's important you need to I guess get that opportunity to be able to know where you fit in. And sometimes it's a bit of a fuzzy logic, right, where you go in and you try and figure it out. So this is some advice I would give my own children, being a parent, is that take the first job that comes along, right? So to answer the fresh grad question, you're looking to enter the investment management space. What should you do? Take up whichever role the banks offer you. I think most banks would have a graduate associate program, or get in as a wealth planning manager first. Understand how banking actually works on a basic level. It's like flipping burgers at McDonald's, right? Before you go up to management. I think that's still a very valid example today. So I think that's where I just wanted to chime in on that. Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. Lawrence?
Yeah, maybe I'll do a plug for IBF. We do have a technology for financial industry program, TFIP, which is really a PCP. So last year, for example, we took in 15 participants on the program. 2 of them actually are cloud engineers in my infrastructure and platform team. And in the program, they actually get sent for formal structured training, right? So we actually put them away, get properly trained, and then after that, for the next 9 months in a year, they go on to the on-the-job training. Now, the good thing about this program, at least for this batch, was they got hit by the COVID, right? So when everybody got asked to send home, the few engineers that were coming out from the training and were working very closely with the team were actually chipping in to try and make sure that the infrastructure that we have built up can scale, all right? So we pivoted back into the public cloud, created solutions that people can work from home, right? All because we also got this set of engineers that we have actually took in and try to train, okay? And I think it benefits both ways, because from the individual, it becomes a baptism of fire. Nothing beats a crisis. Like you go through a crisis and you learn, wow, this is actually how you need to quickly learn and get it over and done with, right? And then for the organization, because we also took the step to make sure that we invest in the people, then when the time comes for them to contribute, it is there. All right. So never underestimate the opportunities to really contribute in a crisis, right? And I would say, again, joining the bank at this juncture, a very good move. And there are lots of programs, right, that are being rolled out now. So take your pick, get your focus right, and then I'm sure you can find a good place where you can then build your career.
Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you for flying the flag for IBF. There is one related to this. There is one question I saw, somebody who is age 55 and asking whether realistically would we or any FI that we know of hire someone at age 55, I would dare say to jump in to say that I have most recently, in fact today, come across someone in the almost mid 55 being hired. It's in a pseudo FI area. So to that individual, I wanted to say there are chances. Maybe you just got to keep trying and working at it. But I think generally there are opportunities out there. So the encouragement is there for you to keep looking. Li Wei, I don't know whether in SCB you could share with us in terms of diversity, age-wise, how does it come across?
Certainly. In fact, I was sharing with Florence recently. I hired someone that's older than me, so age is not the problem. Yeah, it's really more the open mindset and the person that came in to contribute to the organizations and being adaptive, being a team player. So honestly, I mean, diversity has to be there for the organization as well, because when you reach a certain age, you will have a certain wealth of experience in your life as well that will contribute to the organizations. And it's not about how old are you, it's how your open mindset, your attitude towards the jobs that you're after and you're working in it. Yeah, so I'll say is for me, I don't look at age as a problem, but it's more the attitudes and your what you're bringing into the organizations.
Thank you for that, Li Wei. Certainly, I also have another question. You know, asking. Hold on a second. There's a someone who's got corporate banking experience and wondering how digitalization or technology can be used to improve the business, and if this individual has the strong corporate banking domain knowledge, would you guys hire? Or if you are the hiring manager, you know, for a job in the corporate banking area or technology area. Anybody?
Well, maybe I'll try to answer. I think a lot of times, if it's gonna be a mid-career, I don't think it is sort of the really hard skills that matter a whole lot. A lot of it, like what Alex talked about, alignment of the values of the person to the bank, the maturity of the person, the ability of the person to actually work as a team, because you are never going to be an individual contributor in that sense, the ability to build relationships, all right? So a lot of the softer side, I would say, is going to be probably a little bit more important, unless you really want to starting as a coder there, right? But if you are now just mid-career and you completely switch out, never touched technology before, never in financial services before, and now you suddenly switch to technology, switch to FSI, then perhaps the first thing to do is get some good grounding on technology, all right? Because if you do not appreciate and understand technology, then very hard for you to really move very much further, okay? And if this is where you think that maybe in your career life, there's still maybe 20, 25 years left, I think it's a worthwhile investment to then put your minds to it, to really pick up some of the technology, all right? And it doesn't need to be hardcore technology, right? You can start off with a little bit of the data analytics, just understanding how do you visualize some of the data, how do you use the tools to mine the data, how do you then use language, right, to really decipher the data. Depending on the area you want, pick your choice and then you dedicate yourself to it. Because I think, you know, at that level, you still got a bit of runway that you can then go and develop yourself.
Yeah, I think I want to add in
Sorry.
to
Yeah.
the answer about the corporate banking side.
Yeah.
I think this is a plug for DBS. Obviously, we recently used blockchain to digitize, our letters of credit and some of the global transaction services. I think that came out in the news, right? We're one of the first few in the world to actually do that. So this is where the corporate banker in a traditional B2B kind of environment can actually contribute to us. That's some of the things that we actually are looking for, that skill set, that knowledge. So to my earlier point again, the knowledge you've accumulated can make you the subject matter expert, because we literally only in last 2 years only moved away from paper LCs, right, letter of credits, to digitizing it. And again, to Li Wei's point is the COVID helped, right, to accelerate that recently. So I think, and to some of the other questions I noticed are popping up. It's like, what courses can I do to pick up this skill set? Because you might be in corporate banking and then you're asking yourself, how do I pivot? I actually came across skills framework, right, in the WSG sites. It's very useful. They've got 1,400 different, I think, roles in the banking industry, and they actually have attached courses on how you can become a data analyst, how you can become a data scientist, or what. There are certain courses that you can look for. So for those who want to learn, I think Skills Framework is great, because the government's also given us money, right, in your Skills Future. So use that. The money is there. Take those courses. It will actually also give you an idea, or even within your own current industry. There are many skills that are actually tech related, many courses that are tech related within, say, the logistics sector, the real estate sector, and all that. There are also data analyst courses there, especially in the areas of marketing. So I definitely do encourage you all to go to visit the Skills Future website as well, under the skills framework, right?
Yes. Thanks for that, Alex. And also IBF also has a lot of resources in the skills framework for the FS financial services sector. I think if I may add, it's perhaps important that an individual must do his or her own research a bit more. You need to literally sit down and think about where might some of the areas that you need to probe, doing some more research, some fact finding, and some information and knowledge, instead of wondering where you go. That information will actually help you plan a roadmap for yourself. There is also the IBF Careers Connect that you can write to, and also we do have the booths in the career zone that you can check in with some of our career advisors to get some more tips. Beyond the 2 days, then you can always write to us as well, where some of our coaches can also guide you along. I realized that we are fast coming to 5 o'clock. I just wanted to round this discussion up with perhaps having each one of you just share 1 or 2 advice that you would have. Maybe we can start off with Li Wei, one final thought or 1 or 2 final thoughts.
I think I always go by be bold, be brave, believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to learn and really open up your mindset. Yeah, so that's what I'm being to adapt to the current situations where the world evolve, where the banking evolve, where the industry evolve, and certainly to be resilient to what is coming. Yeah, so this is what I will say.
Thank you, Li Wei. Tansy, what about from you?
I do want to also try to answer the previous question, because I didn't put in my thoughts on that. I almost wanted to say 1 or 2 advice that I'll give to everybody is that transformation starts in your current role. So regardless of what role you are in, nobody is born to be a data scientist. So don't start by saying that I'm a product controller today and I want to be a data scientist tomorrow. This is how I want to chart my career. I almost feel that you need to have the mindset transformation starts in your current role now. Look at the current role that you're performing in the financial services industry. How can you make it better? How can you improve your current role? Do you understand the trends and the threats that are going on that is going to impact your current role? Start from there, and this is where people should move. Because I've seen a lot of people who said, okay, Tansy, I want a data analytics role. Give me a data analytics role. And my advice to the individual is you are capable of performing data analytics in your current role. The reason is because the financial services industry is nothing but a data industry. We don't have a physical product out there. Everything that passes through every day, it's nothing but data. So regardless of what role and what functions you are in, there's tons of data going through every day, day to day. So think about how you can perform analysis on those data. How can you look critically at your own processes, your job function, and say, how can I make it better? And how can I cope with some of the future threats that is coming? So through those baby steps, this is where the individuals will really learn, is this really the right career for me? Do I really want to be a full-time data analytics role before they even set their mind and say, hey, I want to be a data scientist? So that would be my advice for everybody. Transformation starts with your current role.
Thank you, Tansy. That's a very good advice for many of the mid-careers. And at one stage, I was also going through and the so-called change or how to accelerate and transform myself, and that resonates with me as well. So I just want to call out to all those who are on listening in to take the advice. Lawrence, what about you? Do you have one or two final advice to give to the participants?
Yeah, sure. So don't give up. I think there's lots of opportunities out there. Use all the training that is available to your maximum, but also discover yourself. What is the interest that you have for yourself, and really adopt a growth mindset. Okay, because if you invest in yourself and you try to learn and try to experience it, try to do it yourself, it stays with you. And then when you try to apply it at work, it will be a multiplier effect that you can then experience. So I hope you're going to be successful and be able to then change to a career in financial services.
Thank you, Lawrence. Yeah. Once you acquire the new knowledge and you have the mindset, the agility, and so on to go forth, no one can take that away from you, and you can only develop further from there. Alex?
Yeah, I mean, we are in the world of open banking now, right? So I think the key word there is open. Have an open mindset, have an open attitude. Challenge the status quo, right? Because you want a change for the better, not just for whichever organization you work for, but for yourself. So one advice is definitely learn and be curious. That would definitely help you. And more importantly, call a friend. You never know, because as a recruiter, I always find that referrals are the strongest channel for us. And similarly, if you're a job seeker, you find that a referral into a job is also probably one of the strongest channel you can use to be successful. So, be open and call a friend.
Yes, that definitely. I think that's something that where we can have good shortcuts, without compromising standards or integrity. Why not? Hey, guys, thank you very much. I just want to express, our deep appreciation for your time in participating in this panel, in giving very good advice, really from your experience. And I'm sure the participants go away with that, encouragement from each one of you. So Alex, Lawrence, Li Wei, Tansy, a big thank you on behalf of IBF. And for those who are listening in, I hope we have answered some of your questions. For those of you who wish to know more, we're still open tomorrow. We still have an hour to go. And then beyond that, do write to IBF if there's any way we can help you with. And I wish you all lots of success and perseverance, and all the very best